Tánaiste, yesterday, Oireachtas members from across all parties were briefed by the nursing unions in relation to the cynical and overspun announcement in relation to the 1,000 jobs for newly qualified graduates at 20% below the normal rate for such nurses over a 2-year period. And what emerged from the briefing yesterday was quite interesting. First of all, those present were absolutely adamant that no new jobs are being created by this decision, contrary to what the Taoiseach suggested yesterday in the House. That 1,000 agency jobs will be lost as a result of the creation of these so-called 1,000 new jobs. Secondly, the deal was done with absolutely no discussion with the unions whatsoever. Not one discussion, zilch. And thirdly, no alternatives have been examined by the government or the minister or the HSE in relation to savings that could be made more effectively. And suggestions were made that over double the savings could be realised via an alternative route, particularly in terms of VAT and agency fees. Now, nurses across the country see this decision and initiative as a downgrading of their profession. And that is why, and it explains why so few have applied. And apparently we were told up to last week that there were only 30 applicants, hence the decision to extend it back to 2011 and 2010 graduates. Now, interestingly, yesterday as well, the unions were told very clearly, we were told by the unions that the government was told and the management side were told in the context of the extension to Croke Park talks that this was actually a game breaker, that there would be no successful outcome in relation to those talks if this issue wasn't revisited. Now, Minister Riley's intervention in this has added fuel to the fire. He said, and it's written, that basically if nurses and midwives are not happy with this initiative, well then they can emigrate or work in fast food outlets, which I think was an appalling intervention by the Minister himself, characteristically dismissive and arrogant. What I want to ask you, Tánaiste, is do you agree with Minister O'Reilly's comments that they would be better off emigrating or working in fast food outlets? Could you comment on that? And also, can you confirm, because he also said that this would be extended to physios and occupational therapists, but we were told yesterday that the HSE management and the Department of Finance officials categorically told the unions that it would not be extended to physios and OTs. So could you please confirm this morning on behalf of the government whether it is the government's plan to broaden this out to allied health professionals in the system? And thirdly, can you clarify whether or not you have actually looked at the alternatives that could realise over double the savings that are intended as a result of this particular initiative?
Well, first of all, let's be clear, this is about new jobs. This is about... There are a lot of people who are out of work in this country. This job,
Sorry, will you please?
This government,
thank you. This is leaders' questions. We don't want any interruption.
This government has made it very clear that putting people into employment is our top priority. If a multinational company came into this country and announced 1,000 new jobs for graduates, everybody in this House would be welcoming it. This is 1,000 additional jobs in the nursing sector. There are currently about 35,000 nurses who are employed in the health service at present. This is 1,000 additional posts for graduate nurses, 2-year contract. It's not intended to go beyond that. It's 1,000 for nurses. That's what's intended here, and that's what is being done. It's 1,000 additional jobs. It's about providing employment, additional nurses in the health service. It's better for the graduate nurses, and it is better for the health service to have these in employment.
I'd ask members to please show some respect to the people asking the question and those replying. Thank you very much. No, please get on.
I think it's very important, Tánaiste, that we have clarity and the facts before the House. The union representatives were absolutely adamant yesterday that these do not represent new additional jobs at all. That the clear instructions have been that there will be a cut in the number of agency nurses by 1,000. And that what this represents is a replacement of 1,000 agency nurses by 1,000 new qualified nurses at a reduced rate. That is what is on the table, Tánaiste, and that is the decision. There are not new additional posts, and that is the position. And there's no point in trying to confuse people, mislead people in relation to that fundamental point itself.
Thank you.
Now, I also asked you, Tánaiste, if you would comment on Minister Riley's intervention in relation to this, when he said young nurses should emigrate or go into fast food outlets if they weren't prepared to take these particular jobs. I would ask you, do you think that's an appropriate response from the Minister? Let them eat cake sort of approach that he articulated.
Thank you,
I also asked you, could you confirm whether it was going to be extended to the other allied health professionals or not? Could you please confirm that this morning? And finally, I want to say to you, yesterday Deputy Billy Keller put down a question on this.
Sorry, Deputy, you're way over time.
I will jump on it. How many people have applied? And in a new farcical high in terms of transparency from this government, the reply was, it is not considered appropriate to disclose the number of applications received while a public service recruitment competition is in progress. Did you ever hear the likes of it? We now can't tell you how many applied. That's a parliamentary reply.
Thank you.
To Deputy Kelleher. So much for transparency, Tánaiste. What is the bottom line here? This is annoying people. And I would put it to you, Tánaiste, you've been a former SIP2 official yourself. You know this is not the route to go.
Thank you.
And there's very sensible alternatives here. But it now seems that the cause has become bigger than pragmatism or cop-on or common sense. And basically we're going to get this through no matter what, because we put so much in to this initiative. Whereas alternatives are there to be explored that could realise the savings themselves. You should revisit this, Tánaiste, and then make sure that you can actually implement the alternatives that are being offered by the unions.
Thank you.
Well, first of all, at a time of very high unemployment and at a time when many graduates are coming out of college and unable to find employment, I think that the priority has got to be providing employment opportunities. And what this is doing is providing employment opportunities for 1,000 graduate nurses. The current complement of nurses who are in the health service is around 35,000. This additional 1,000 will bring that to 36,000. It is additional posts that are being created in the health service. With respect to the issue of graduates emigrating, what this is all about is providing employment for graduate nurses at home, here in this country, in our health service, which I think is better from the point of view of the graduate nurses themselves, and I also think is better from the point of view of the health service. I think we need to, just be reasonable about this. And being reasonable about it is looking at a situation where there has been a restriction on recruitment right across the public service, as we know. There's an employment control framework. These additional jobs are being created outside of that employment control framework. There is no question of, as you allege, downgrading the nursing profession. That's not being done. I have the height of regard, and the government has the height of regard for nurses, for what they do, and for their profession.
Please.
This is 1,000. This is 1,000 additional jobs. And as for your point about the parliamentary question, I don't think it's unreasonable to wait until the closing date for applications before you say how many people have applied.
Thank you,